Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining another FileCloud webinar. Today, we're going to be discussing how to understand FileCloud policies and how to administrate them. Part of the topic we're going to be discussing as well is understanding the FileCloud policies, configuring such policies, and applying policies to users and groups. It is important to mention that the FileCloud policies are meant to create an overall set of settings and configurations for your users that are applied automatically to their user profile to allow them or deny them to accomplishing certain actions. We're going to be changing our screens towards an environment where we're going to be able to see this live. When you log into the FileCloud admin portal, you're going to be able to manage your user policies. This is the dashboard of the admin portal. On the left side menu bar, if you scroll to the bottom, you're going to be able to see settings, and then click on the policies tab. From here, you're going to be able to create a new policy. And once created, you're going to be able to edit the policy. FileCloud policies has multiple settings, as for example, which UI do you want the user to see, if you want them to be able to share the UI, to change the UI, if you want them to be able to share or not shared, if you want them that when they share, that share expires automatically in X number of days, how much quota do you want to give them towards how much storage space are you going to give those users, if you want them to be able to store deleted files or not, such as a recycling bin, and if you want the recycling bin to automatically expire, let's say in the next 30 days or so. Right. Some of the other settings include security as well, such as enabling two-factor authentication, or even disabling some capabilities like inviting a new user, creating a new user account, requiring the administrator approval so that the device can log in when they're trying to log in from their mobile phone, enabling web edit, which allows them to edit documents online, many others. As well, we have device configuration policies, which can be found in more detail within our documentation. The client configuration policies are automated XML configurations. So for example, let's say that you wanted FileCloud Drive. This is one of our desktop clients, and you wanted a very specific action to happen to it. We give you the complete snippet of the XML, so you can just copy and paste it, and then we give you the values. So for example, I want it to mount on letter H every single time, right? You can just come here and paste this here. That way, when the users that are inside this policy connect to it or actually log in, FileCloud will immediately apply the settings. You can also disable the automatic login. That way, the user will always have to authenticate when logging in. And many other settings you can simply apply in here to automate even the configuration of the FileCloud Drive client in this scenario from the policies. Another setting from the policies that you can enable or disable is notifications, so that you can decide for the user what notifications are they going to be receiving. Once you have modified the policy, you can easily save it and add a user to that policy. For example, for this testing, I'm going to be adding my user. In this case, is the demo user. Do keep in mind that this policy does allow me to share, but it has two-factor authentication enabled. Once done, I can simply direct myself to the user portal. And when I try to log in, it will immediately request me for my two-factor authentication code. In the scenario, I'm going to go ahead and change the policy to another policy. Let's say block sharing. There's a policy that does not prevent the user to share, but it does not have 2FA enabled. See, sharing is not allowed, but 2FA in here is not enabled. So if I were to access the user portal again, you're going to notice I'm going to be able to log in without the need of two-factor authentication code. But the moment that I try to create any share, it's disabled because the policy is not allowing me to do any share. On that perspective, the FileCloud policies are real-time, meaning that if I go ahead and remove that user from here, and I simply go ahead and refresh my user interface, now the new settings from that policy will allow me to create shares. Now you see that that option is enabled and it's no longer appearing as disabled. You can create many policies and many combinations depending on the action you're trying to accomplish. To give you a better idea on how a policy could be used, maybe you have your production environment and you have your admin users, right? Maybe you want the admin users to be able to share and to be able to log in without two-factor authentication, but you want your production users to not be able to share, and that when they log into your environment, that they're always requested for a two-factor authentication code. There are multiple combinations that can be added. Another thing to keep in mind as well is that you can apply policies automatically by setting them as a default or by creating a workflow, which will allow you to add a policy, for example, when a new user is created, to give an idea. Now, to give a little bit more information on policies, you can go to our website at getfilecloud.com/support docs. And you can search for user policies. Look for the one that says managing policies, users, and groups. And we provide you a full video of exactly the actions that I have done in here towards creating a user policy as well. This is going to give you a better idea as well in case you want to review what we have done today. Another thing is we also have a video on creating a new policy or accessing the policies itself. Now, our documentation will provide you a complete information on some of the best practices that we have. How does it work completely based on the user interaction? In case you wanted more details, and in case you wanted to know a little bit more about those workflows that I was talking about before, you can simply type the word workflow within our search documentation, and you're going to be able to see what can be done or not done, or set in the advanced workflow options. You can also see how to add a new one. Now, going back to the policies from the admin portal, you can also review the policies for each individual user just by clicking on the little paper and pencil icon and going over to the manage policies. From here, you're going to be able to see which policy is being applied to every user. Policies in FileCloud are meant to automate what your users are meant to do. You keep in mind that when it comes to policies, you can not only do so by individual users, but you also have the capability of selecting groups. That way, you can apply different policies to groups. Now, it is not needed for you to access the policy tab, as you can add policies directly as well from the groups, going into groups, paper and pencil icon, group policy. And from here, you can select any of the policies that you have created to apply to that group. When the policy is applied to the group, every single setting on that policy will apply to every user inside that group. Now, this summarizes the use of the policies when interacting with FileCloud. Now, going back to our presentation, if you need any assistance on how to get this done, please feel free to email our support team at codelay.com or visit our documentation at getfilecloud.com/support docs. Do keep in mind as well that a quick start guide will be emailed to you at the end of this webinar so that we can provide you a little bit more help when it comes to creating policies. If you have any questions as well on maybe a policy you're thinking about, do send it over to our support team and we will guide you on the best steps on how to create this. You have a great day and thank you for joining another FileCloud webinar. Goodbye.